defending Grand Chess Tour champion. He's currently, you never want to say must-win situations. I mean, it's early, but it's not...
Every time he plays with white, it's a must-win situation.
In terms of fighting for the GCT title, he absolutely needs to go on a tear and as soon as possible, because...
Absolutely.
He is a full point behind Alireza, and he needs to do much better than Alireza here. Not just better, much better.
Yeah. And again, we're going to be following Alireza and MVL as our marquee matchup, but Fabi did confuse me because what I learned about studying those games of Emmanuel Lasker and those players of the past, where there is this structure of e4 versus d6, it's about space. And the idea of the space was that you could play behind the space in order to gain even more space. And so for me, the automatic moves that the players of the past were playing were rook e3, rook to e1. You keep your queen on d4 for very good reasons. Sometimes you might want to play rook to g3. Oftentimes you're actually just playing to expand. And the idea of rook e3. Instead, everything kind of went backwards. And, the queen went back to d2, the knight went back to e3.
Any issues whatsoever.
And I'm confused by the play. But maybe White, Fabi's just saying, okay, I can't do anything, but you can't either.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the queen in particular left the d4 square. That's the one that confuses me a little bit. Right. I think I could make a very specific variation-based argument against your move rook e3. If we go back to that position where you were playing rook e3.
Right, okay, so I think
rook e8, rook e3. I think he probably didn't like allowing knight e5.
Knight e5.
Yeah, because I think you actually do want your knight on e3 in very many cases, and you absolutely want them on the board. This much, I think, can be stated unequivocally, that you absolutely want all the pieces you can keep on the board, to keep them on. Yeah, because I think the
major piece ending here is nothing.
Purely major piece ending here should be very, very easily defensible for black. So I think preserving the e3 square for the knight, I can explain. But why, for instance, in that position we're not starting with f3? Why did he feel he was obliged to drop the queen back first? This I cannot explain as easily. I would very much like to actually keep it on d4. I think it's very, very nicely placed on d4. I don't know why it's not there.
It feels useful. Just for illustrative purposes only, this rook e3 and what Peter is saying, that knight e5, why do I like the pawn on e4 versus the pawn on d6? In these positions, again, you've got this... you get to play behind the pawn. Sometimes you can go queen b5. Sometimes you can go the queen d5. You can, your pawn's on e4 for reasons, let's say, and maybe I have a pawn on f4 as well. But okay, none of this happened because the current position, I think black is actually doing.
Force.
Okay, let's just see how bad is it, Peter. Knight to d7,
Knight
knight
G4?
to g4.
Is queen c7 also? Oh, you have queen e5. Okay.
Sorry.
Now queen c7 is a threat.
Yeah, rook f8.
He's gone knight b7. Yeah,
Knight
no, this never holds.
b7. Okay, I was trying to. Okay, knight b7. So he wants to bring his knight to
And if queen c7, what does he do?
queen c.
How does he save the piece?
Maybe
That's
he
a
doesn't.
very good
Maybe
question.
the answer is just he's not. Yeah, it's one of those cases.
Queen.
But we also might have mate. Honestly, like knight e4 looks like it might be mate.
So knight e4.
Not allowing knight d6 and then
Exactly.
we just play knight f6 rook h1 and we just get there.
And it's our old
But honestly, extra piece is also pretty good. I'm not going to say no to an extra piece in this position. Just queen c7, take on b7 next move. Very, very solid choice as well.
Sometimes the kiss principle is strongest.
Yeah, and I think he's
Can
gone
for it?
queen c7.
With the material?
King g7 instantly
Yeah, so
take
he
my-
wants queen e5 check and then rook h8, but this is still going to be only a couple of checks. This is why, yeah, I would have preferred to actually give mate so that I don't have to calculate checks from my opponent, but this
Also,
has
he doesn't
to be
have to
lost.
take on b7
Yeah, you
yet.
can go rook e1 first,
Can
maybe
make
to stop
one.
queen e5 check.
Prophylaxis move. Or rook h. No, I don't want rook h1.
Give checks to this setup at all, apart from rook h3
No.
check, which is, yeah, it does give a couple of checks, but they're
and
not
you
very
get
promising.
one, and that's all you get.
Yes, and that's all you get.
And in the meanwhile, queen c6 to
Yeah.
f6, and that's game over.
Now this should be over in just a couple of moves.
So Fabi, somewhat unexpectedly, frankly,
Wow.
gets back to 50%.
Yep.
And is sort of back in the running. Although he would very much,
Pastor.
he would have obviously preferred MVL not to take the repetition there in the
Yeah.
position.
Yeah, he wanted to see.
It is heartbreaking for Nodirbek. You can see he was in
Oh.
the driver's seat. He had such a good chance to
I-
beat Fabi with
he-
the black pieces.
He was going to be material ahead. He had 20 minutes to 30 seconds. Just all of
And in the
advantages.
meantime, Prague probably has one move that wins in this current
Just
position.
want to say that he's down to seconds, is Nodirbek at the moment, and I don't think he's moving.
2 seconds.
He
He
played
made a
queen
move
g2, but it
with
doesn't-
1 second actually. It's 31 right now.
Queen
He
takes
did it with
b6.
1 second on his clock. Oof.
Queen takes b6 is, or queen e7 is probably longer. Yeah, that's a better choice.
Just defend the g5 pawn, and
And
there's the
resign.
handshake.
Resignation. So
Wow,
We have to
what
go
a
back.
turnaround. And
And
Bob
Prague
will,
does not find it.
Bob
though.
will be the first to admit that was not his finest
Maybe it's still
moment.
moving, but it's less clear.